What happens when someone filled with hate tries to destroy an innocent man's life only to have it backfire in the most spectacular way? A racist Karen thought she could get a hard-working black man fired with her lies, arrogance, and entitlement. She walked in confident. She was ready to ruin him. She thought she had the power. But what she never expected was that today, she messed with the wrong person. And when the truth finally came out, her entire world came crashing down. Because some people are untouchable. And today, she was about to learn that the hard way. Before we go any further, subscribe to the channel and comment below where you are watching from. For our returning subscribers, thank you so much for your unwavering support. It truly means a lot to our community. Marcus had worked tirelessly for years to build his career. He was skilled, respected, and valued at his job. He had never caused trouble, never cut corners, never given anyone a reason to complain. But then, there was Karen, a woman who did not need a reason to tear someone down. Because to her, Marcus simply existing in that space was enough. And today, she was going to prove it. Or at least, that's what she thought. Because the moment she opened her mouth was the moment she sealed her own fate. Karen had been watching Marcus for weeks. She didn't like how respected he was. She didn't like that people listened to him. And she definitely didn't like that he was black. So she waited for the perfect opportunity to strike. And when she finally saw her chance, she pounced. It started with whispers. Karen went to the higher-ups, acting concerned. "Have you noticed Marcus seems unprofessional?" she asked innocently. "I don't want to say anything, but he makes me uncomfortable." And then, she planted the seed. "I don't know if it's true, but I heard he's been cutting corners." There was no evidence, no reason to suspect him. But Karen knew how people worked, how rumors spread. And soon, doubt started creeping in. Then came the day of the incident. Karen walked into work with a plan. She was going to push Marcus to his breaking point, get him to snap, give her a real reason to take him down. So she waited for the right moment. And when Marcus was helping a customer, she pounced. "Excuse me," she said loudly, interrupting the conversation. Marcus looked up, caught off guard. "Yes, Karen?" he asked politely. She crossed her arms. "Why are you giving her so much attention? You ignored me earlier." Marcus frowned. "Karen, I haven't ignored anyone." "Oh, so now you're saying I'm lying?" she snapped. The customer turned to watch. Employees stopped what they were doing. Because now, Karen was making a scene. Marcus stayed calm. "I'm happy to help you, Karen. What do you need?" Karen smirked. "I need you to do your job." The way she said it, as if he wasn't already doing it, as if he was beneath her, made everyone tense. Marcus, still trying to remain professional, responded, "I always do my job, Karen." But Karen? She was ready for this. "Not from what I've heard," she said. Loud enough for everyone to hear. And just like that, she dropped the bomb. "Actually, I think we need to talk to the manager." And then, she smiled. Because she thought she had him. The air in the room shifted. Karen stood tall, her smirk confident. She thought she had won. Marcus? He was calm, but something in his eyes said he knew something she didn't. And then, a voice cut through the tension. "Karen." The room went silent. Because that voice belonged to the boss. And Karen hadn't seen him standing there. The boss steps in. And everything changes. David Clarkson, the owner of the company, stepped forward. His expression was neutral, but his eyes, they were locked directly on Karen. She froze. Because this was not part of her plan. "You wanted to see me, Karen?" David asked, his voice calm but sharp. Karen blinked, scrambling to regain control. "Oh, yes, David. Thank goodness you're here," she said, immediately switching to a sweet voice. "I was just saying, I think it's time we have a conversation about Marcus." David raised an eyebrow. "A conversation?" Karen nodded eagerly. "Yes, I didn't want to say anything, but I think he's been slacking. He's ignoring customers, being dismissive, and quite honestly, I don't think he's the right fit for this company." She crossed her arms. waiting for the boss to agree with her. But instead, David tilted his head, and then he chuckled. Karen's smile wavered, because that was not the reaction she expected. "That's interesting, Karen," David said, pulling out his phone, "because I've been watching security footage all week." Karen's face drained of color. "You what?" David turned the phone screen toward the room. And there it was. The security footage. Marcus helping customers, being polite, doing his job perfectly. Karen hovering, watching him like a hawk, making things difficult for him. Her interrupting conversations, trying to twist situations. It was all there. And now, everyone could see the truth. "This is ridiculous," Karen muttered, her voice shaking. "Is it?" David asked. He glanced around the room. "Has anyone else here had issues with Marcus?" A chorus of voices spoke at once. "No, Marcus is great. Best employee we have. He always goes above and beyond." Karen's hands clenched, because the entire room was against her now. And David? He wasn't finished. David crossed his arms. "You said Marcus isn't the right fit for this company, right?" Karen nodded quickly. "Exactly. That's what I've been trying to." "I agree." David interrupted. Karen's smirk returned. "Oh, I'm so glad you see it, David. I wasn't talking about Marcus." Karen's smirk vanished instantly. Her mind raced, trying to process what David had just said. "Wait, what?" She blurted out, her voice suddenly unsteady. David tilted his head, his expression calm but firm. "You heard me," he said. "The only person causing problems here is you." A murmur rippled through the room. Marcus stayed silent, watching Karen squirm. This was the moment she had been waiting for. But instead of Marcus getting fired, she was the one on the chopping block. "David, I think there's a misunderstanding," Karen said, her voice sweetening as she tried to regain control. "I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I was just trying to make sure our team runs smoothly." David raised an eyebrow. "By targeting one of my best employees?" Karen let out a nervous laugh. "Oh, come on, David. I was just concerned about customer service." David pulled out his phone again. "Concerned?" he echoed. "Is that why you called Marcus a thug in front of a room full of customers?" Karen's face went white. The room went silent again. Customers who had been watching the scene unfold suddenly started whispering to each other. "Wait, she really said that? Oh, she's done for. Wow, she's about to get wrecked." Karen's hands started shaking. "David, please," she whispered. But David was not done. David sighed and shook his head. "Karen, this isn't the first time you've done something like this." Karen's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "We've had multiple complaints about you harassing employees, making inappropriate comments, and spreading false information," David explained. Karen looked around, but no one was defending her. Because now, everyone knew the truth. David turned to Marcus. "Marcus, I owe you an apology. You should never have had to deal with this." Marcus nodded. But before he could even respond, David turned back to Karen. "You're fired." Karen stumbled back, her entire body trembling. "You can't do that," she stammered. "I can," David said, crossing his arms. "And I just did." Karen's face turned beet red. She glared at Marcus, as if this was somehow his fault. "This is ridiculous," she shrieked. "You're firing me and keeping him?" David didn't even blink. "Yes." Karen let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, I see what this is," she spat. "This is political, isn't it? You're just trying to be woke." The moment she said it, customers gasped. And David? He chuckled. "No, Karen, I'm just trying to run a business that isn't poisoned by racism." Karen froze. Because at that moment, she knew there was no coming back from this. Karen spun around, looking at the customers for sympathy. "Are you all just going to stand there? I've been shopping here for years." Silence. Nobody said a word, because nobody cared. In fact, one woman pulled out her phone and started recording. "Oh, this is going viral," she whispered. Karen's breath hitched. "You cannot do this," she shrieked, turning back to David. "I can, and I did," he repeated. Then, He stepped aside and gestured toward the door. "Leave, Karen." Karen stood there for a moment, frozen. And then, she did the only thing left to do. She stormed out. Karen stormed out of the building, her heels clicking furiously against the pavement. Her face burned with humiliation. Her mind raced with thoughts of revenge. "This isn't over," she muttered under her breath. But what she didn't realize was that for the rest of the world, it was only just beginning. Karen thought she could put this behind her. But by the time she got home, her phone was already blowing up. "OMG, Karen, have you seen Twitter? Girl, you're trending, and not in a good way. I'd delete my accounts if I were you." Her stomach tightened as she grabbed her phone and opened Twitter. And there it was. A video of her screaming at Marcus. Another clip of her demanding he be fired. And the worst one? The moment she called him a thug. The caption? "Racist Karen tries to get black employee fired, instantly regrets it." Her face drained of color. Because this wasn't just some small local drama. Millions of people had seen it. And the comments? Brutal. She really thought she could get away with this in 2024? Marcus handled this with more class than she ever could. Oh, Karen's life is about to be over. She just lost everything in under 5 minutes. Love to see it. Karen's breathing quickened. She tried to delete her accounts, but it was too late. Because the internet never forgets. And by the next morning, Karen wasn't just jobless. She was infamous. While Karen's life fell apart, Marcus's life was about to change forever. The morning after the incident, he walked into work, still unsure of what to expect. But the moment he stepped inside, applause. Every employee stood up and clapped. Even customers joined in. Marcus froze, stunned. "What's happening?" he asked, looking around. David stepped forward, smiling. "Marcus, I don't think you understand just how many people are rooting for you," he said. Then he held up his phone. "Your story is everywhere. People are calling you the definition of grace under pressure." Marcus rubbed the back of his neck, overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say." David chuckled. "Well, let's start with this." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a promotion letter. "How about congratulations, Manager Marcus?" Marcus's eyes widened. "Wait. What?" David grinned. "You deserve it, Marcus. You've handled yourself with more professionalism than most people ever could. And quite frankly, we need more people like you leading this company." Marcus took the letter, his hands shaking slightly. This was everything he had worked for. And now, because of Karen's attempt to destroy him, he had gotten exactly what he deserved. Karen wasn't done yet. She tried everything to fix her reputation. She went on Facebook, claiming she was the real victim. "They twisted my words. That video was edited." She tried applying to new jobs. Every company rejected her immediately. She even considered suing David and Marcus. No lawyer would take her case. Because the truth was, Karen had done this to herself. And now, she had to live with the consequences. A year later, Marcus was thriving. As the new manager, he had helped transform the business. Sales had increased. Customer satisfaction was at an all-time high, and employees finally felt respected. One afternoon, he was sitting at his desk when his assistant walked in. "Hey, Marcus, we have a new job applicant." Marcus looked over the resume, and when he saw the name, he nearly laughed out loud. Because right there, in bold letters, was the name Karen Thompson. She had applied for a low-level position at the same company she once tried to destroy Marcus in. Marcus leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "You know what?" he said, smiling. "Let's bring her in for an interview." Because karma always comes full circle. When people try to bring you down, keep your head high, because justice always finds a way. If you believe in standing up against injustice, subscribe for more powerful stories.